Hello and welcome to Make It Work, the bi-weekly podcast where we uncover inspiring stories of modern working mamas in Asia who have redefined their career paths whilst putting family first.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wong and a very warm welcome to Season 2 of Make It Work Asia. Today, I speak with femtech startup founders Rajani Patel and Anu Shenoy based in Singapore. If you've ever felt alone, isolated and helpless during your pregnancy as a new young mother, I know I have. Rajani and Anu are here to change that with their company, Veira Life, an online platform which provides personalized coaching for mothers and their spouses throughout pregnancy and beyond. Rajani is a former software engineer turned early childhood educator, and Anu an ex-strategy consultant in Shell. What they have in common was that they both took career breaks to care for their young children. And as old friends and dedicated mothers, they constantly found themselves talking about motherhood and how a better support system is needed to help women, and very importantly, their spouses, transition into their new life as parents. Thus, Veira Life was born to create the support system they wish they'd had. Today, Veira Life is extending a very special offer to listeners of Make It Work. Use the code MIWFREE to get access to all their virtual prenatal classes absolutely free when you register on their website. Without further ado, let's dive into our chat with Rajani and Anu. Hi, everyone. Hi, Anu. Hi, Rajani.
Hi,
Hi,
Sarah.
Sarah. Lovely to be here on this amazing morning. Nice and bright.
Yes, it's so great to have two guests today. It is my first time actually having multiple guests, and I'm super excited because I found out about the amazing work that Veira Life is doing and knew that I had to have y'all on my podcast because it is addressing a really great need of moms, working moms. So, before we go into anything, I would love for you to give a quick introduction on your background.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anu Shenoy. I'm the co-founder of Veira Life. It's a femtech startup that is passionate about changing the narrative around women's health and careers. At this point of time, we provide integrated, comprehensive support to pregnant and new moms and their non-pregnant spouses. I'm a computer engineer by training. I started my career in tech and have since worn many hats in a diverse set of industries and setups, and now a newly turned entrepreneur. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I am a reader. I am a yoga enthusiast and a fitness freak, and I also love to travel, and I'm a foodie.
Hi, I'm Rajani Patel. I'm originally from India. I've been in Singapore for the last 23 years. I'm the co-founder of Veira Life. I'm a computer engineer by qualification, but then I worked for a little bit. I was a stay-at-home mom for almost 8 to 10 years. So I had a career break. And when my daughter was in the primary school, there was something that I wanted to start doing as a second career, and I chanced about it. It was just by chance that I got into a diploma in early years, and I just loved what I was doing. And then I went on to do a master's in early years, and so that was my second career as an early childhood educator. So quite passionate about working with children and families. And in my work with children, I've seen the struggle that young moms go working, because I work from age group of 0 to 8 years, and that's the time that there's a big struggle that they have to balance childcare, work, and family. So that was something that I always wanted to do after my job as a teacher to and make an impact in the families. So that's why I left my job, and I and Anu know each other for almost 20 plus years. And we always talked about doing something in the early years space. And now it's my, as a new entrepreneur, as I say, every decade I've done something different. In my 20s, I would stay at home mom. At 30s, I tend to be a teacher. And in 40s, I was a teacher, a curriculum coordinator. And in my 50s, I'm an entrepreneur. So yeah, it's been interesting. I live in Singapore with my 25-year-old daughter and husband, Mitesh, who's in the sustainable energy. I love to cook and party. And that's all about me.
Wow, I love how in both of your stories, there have been so many pivots that you've done. So interesting that both of you started out as engineers and did very different things. So maybe take us back to, 20 years in time, right? Where you had young children and you were working in your corporate jobs? What were the challenges you faced then? How did you overcome them?
So when I was at home when my daughter was in primary, but when I started work, so it was for my daughter also, it was new. She was already 7. She had me all the time. And for me also, it was new to leave my daughter with her helper because I'm working on that, to leave and go to work. So I think it was first 1 or 2 years, it was a challenge because for me to let go was hard because I had looked after my daughter all these years, right? When she was born to when she was 8 years old, I was doing everything for her. So I think that was a challenge for me. So I think what did was when I was because as a teacher, the school starts early, so I would go like by 6:30, I would leave home. And like I would come back early by 4 o'clock, 4:30. So by the time she came from school, I was already at home. So that I made sure that I spend that later part of the day with her. So that, this year, by the time she was having homework, extracurriculars. So kind of being around her from the time that I was at home. So I think as she grew, I think got more and alive. Within the 2 years, then it was fine because she had her own life. So as they grow older, they have more activities and things to do. So my biggest challenge was that first 2 years of going back to work. And I think by giving her more time and over the weekends, trying to be there and listening to her, having time to talk about what's happening in her life and trying to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it was also helpful for her to understand. Otherwise, I think there was that challenge that she couldn't understand suddenly why mom is not there. So I think that was something that I had to work through.
And then I also wanted to ask, because I know that you were an engineer before you became a stay-at-home mom, and then you took a break for 8 years to care for your daughter. And when she went to primary school, you were starting to look outside, right? So talk to us about that process and what happened after that. How did you end up going into something so different?
Yeah, I think just there were circumstances that I couldn't have a career. So like we moved cities, we moved countries. I had my daughter. So I think at one stage, the child care and taking care of the home just fell in my lap and my husband had to focus on the career. Then at that moment, I was like happy to be a stay-at-home mom. But when my daughter started going to primary school, I think that's the time it hit hard because, they're quite busy. They're spending most of the time at school. And then when they come back, they have homework, ECS. And so I started feeling like I don't have anything to do. And then, so I think that I started feeling I need to do something. But at that moment, I knew I didn't want to go back to engineering. The field would be that the technology had changed in 8 years. And I think I also did have the confidence. My own barriers and the barriers when you go back, you had to either retrain or something. So I think that kind of created a lot of anxiety. So I started thinking about what should I do if I don't go back into the corporate. So I thought, okay, teaching might be something that I could do. So I tried to explore, okay, what are the opportunities in Singapore? I looked at some teaching education seminars for the MOE schools. I tried to apply, but I didn't have a qualification for something that I wanted to do. So I had to get some qualification and I didn't know how. So this whole process took 1 year and it was quite frustrating and I think depressing because I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what. And then not having the qualification for something and getting into a job market is not that easy. So I think as moms, I think when you are having balancing a family and a career, it's hard. But when you have had a gap, go back, it's even harder because you have your own barriers. You have lost your confidence. I'm generally a very confident person, always been growing up. But that 8 years at home, when you are with children, and it's a totally different thing. So I think that takes a big toll. But then I think I was just lucky because I was constantly talking to people. I want to do this. I want to do teaching. Then one of my friends just told me about one of our other friends had joined a diploma program that the government had they were doing it with some private institutions for PRs and Singaporeans where they were giving some grants. So that's how I just went for that interview. So I just went and they called me for an interview. And within 2 days, they said, if you want, you have to take the place for that diploma. But the study come work program. So you be an assistant teacher in a preschool, a half day, the other half day you do the diploma. So, within 2 days, like I had to decide. My husband was like, just do it. Just something out. My concern was my childcare for my daughter. She was going to the primary school. So I just went ahead and just took a leap of faith.
You did.
Yeah. I didn't know childhood and I thought, okay, there's teach children in preschool. So what is it? That's what, from my own knowledge and experience, doors opened. It was just amazing. And I kind of felt at that time it was a blessing. And then it became a passion as I learned. And then I went on to do a master's and then taught in international school here for 15 years, climbing up the ranks from being an assistant teacher, a main teacher, and all the way to curriculum coordinator. That's right. That's you just have to be open for some opportunities and believe in ourselves and take that leap.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing. And I'd love to hear from Anu. Anu also has a really interesting one, though very different one.
Actually, Rajani and I have known each other for 20 odd years. We've both seen each other on that journey. And she's definitely been there for me. So I had a very tough time. I was working as a management consultant when I was pregnant. You know how it is. There were days when I would work nonstop. I wouldn't see the sun. I would start early in the morning and end wee hours of the night. And my dad had suddenly passed away, and I was still reeling from the shock of it. So I was pregnant. I was grieving my dad. I was wondering how my grief is affecting the baby in my womb. Yeah. And then I was feeling guilty because I felt I was not grieving enough. So it was such a strange sort of time. And then once I had my daughter, I had postnatal depression, which went undiagnosed until many years later. So at that point of time, I suspected, but I wasn't, there's so much that you're overwhelmed. And then breastfeeding was a constant struggle. I remember being in tears most days. I was also struggling with all these complex feelings of being unable to connect with the baby because of the depression. When I went back to work, I was immediately in a project that was very high profile, really demanding. And again, I was working late hours. I would come home to a sleeping child. And the one thing I wanted to keep doing for her was to bathe her. So I would wake her up and bathe her because that was one thing I wanted to keep to myself, right? So I would do it. And I wasn't finding time to pump at work. So my breast milk stash was quickly disappearing. It was just even now, as I'm talking about it, I can feel my anxiety levels sort of going up. That was good as well. I mean, there was this amazing child who was interacting, who was so easy to love. And there was all of that, right? So there was the magic and the wonder. And there was also how tough that period was. And when I look back, I feel really sorry for that, that young mom who's struggling so much. And on the outside, it looked great. If you met me then, everything looked great, right? Work was going very well. I had this baby and everything looked hunky-dory. But inside, it was a disaster. It was a train wreck. It took me some time to sort of, find the strength to say, I'm going to pull myself up. You had to learn to sort of say, I'm not alone in this. I will have to speak about how I'm feeling and get help. I will have to ask people for what I need so that I can get help. So if I want flexibility, I need to ask for it. If I need to take a day off, it's fine. If this is not my best day, that's all right. If this is what I'm bringing to the people around me today, it's all right. So I had to learn to sort of forgive myself. I had to learn to not be type A all the time. There were times when I had to take on a role, so I was traveling a lot. That was also a lot of stress. I remember I would travel and then I would see a family with a baby and I would start crying because, I would be reminded of my child. So I had to learn to pick a role that was less travel, that was definitely not as, right for my career at that point of time. But I had to make that decision because I felt that was right. That's what I needed to sort of, look inwards and be with the people I love and heal and get better. I think that's when whole healing started, recognizing what you need and making sure you give it to yourself, you get it for yourself, you are kinder and more thoughtful about your own. That's where I think I started. And so I come back into myself.
So you, at work, it was really intense and you decided to ask for something that would give you more flexibility. Did you continue to stay with your firm? Did you go out?
I was working for Shell. It was definitely a much more empathetic employer in some ways. So I stayed. I asked for flexibility. I was working from home, not all the time, but I could work from home when I needed to. I picked on a role which was less travel. And all of this helped me. So I stayed on for another, 6 years or so. When I felt that now I was ready to sort of, my daughter was old enough. I was ready to go back into being obsessed with work, which is what entrepreneurship is. That's when I said, okay, it's time. And I remember having this chat with Rajani because Rajani and I would keep talking to each other. And we would say, hey, this space of supporting women, this space of early childhood, of supporting young parents, that really interests us. That is meaningful and purposeful for us. And we both knew this. And so we would keep talking about what to do. So
Yeah, I just wanted to add here. I think we talked for the time that Anu became a mom, and that was early childhood. There were Anu and Anu's husband would ask me, tips. Oh, this is happening, that's happening. With us, that's and she grew that questions changed as well. And then we started thinking, this constant that this support is needed. Children, supporting children, supporting families, supporting moms. So, but I think we talked for almost 10 years.
Wow. I think this is a great kind of point to segue into what you all do at Veira Life.
Both she and I had been talking for very many years about the space that we're passionate about, the space in supporting women and young families and in early childhood and so on. During COVID, actually, we ran a series of interviews as well. So we interviewed women that were just going to give birth, young women who were due to give birth in maybe 2 or 3 months, and we interviewed grandmoms who gave birth 50 years back. And there was a lot of rich learning that came out of it, which even in the future will form the very backbone of what we do at Veira Life. So what do we do at Veira Life? Veira Life is really about keeping women at the center and supporting women through their motherhood journeys. We start in early pregnancy and we provide support and information to pregnant people and their non-pregnant spouses all the way up to transition back to work and early parenting. At this point of time, we feel that this journey, this particular 12 to 15 month journey is possibly the largest inflection point in a woman's life. And a lot of difference can be made by providing them with easy access to reliable information that is comprehensive and complete, that doesn't treat them like fragile creatures on a need-to-know basis, which takes away their agency. Really. So a lot of times women in this period get treated like that. And when we interviewed, that was one of the things that came out very strongly, that I didn't know, and therefore I couldn't make this decision. Or somebody else made a decision about me and my body and my most important experience. And nobody told me about this. So it was important for us that we provide easy access to complete and comprehensive information. Then the other really big point is support. And there is reams of research on how support, which is personalized and answers to the woman's needs and context, really makes a big impact. So we provide personalized support to women and their spouses, and that's all in the comfort of their homes, really. So it's all digital.
Actually, I would like to double click a little bit on that spouses piece. Was that an afterthought? Was it something that you already knew from the start that you wanted to bring the spouses into?
So when we started talking about Veira Life, we knew that we wanted to center the platform on women. When we look at pregnancy platforms around the world, there is a lot of focus on the baby. Yes, there's focus on the mom during the pregnancy, but post that, all the focus is on the baby. And the postnatal recovery period, which is the most crucial period, is very underserved. So we knew we wanted to focus on the woman. And a big part about focusing on the woman is bringing her spouse in. Because we can't be in the home, we can't be watching out, we can't be there to provide support. The person that really provides more support is the spouse, and we wanted to make sure. But also, as we are doing it, so we built the platform to have the non-pregnant spouse join in as well. So you can, there are lots of dads, lots of men on the platform, and you can sort of join up profiles. So when you're journaling, you can see each other's journals and so on. So there's a lot of thought put into it. We're learning all the time, and we are seeing how the non-pregnant spouses are using the platform. And they get in touch with us and say, we'd like this and we'd like that. So we're currently almost done developing a new prenatal program, which is called the Guide to the Supportive Spouse. So yes, it's a mix. We are learning as we go about. There was some thought from the beginning, but yeah, we're expanding on it.
So interesting. Yeah, I think it's really an underserved kind of population that is so important and integral, because I remember the days when I was also like you, going through a lot of breastfeeding challenges, and my husband, he literally said that, I don't know what to do, but I'm here to drive you. If you need to go to the lactation consultant, if you need anything, just tell me. And he was basically at a loss. And I wish you could do more, but obviously I didn't know there were all these other resources. But yeah, at that time, again, there's so much going on. You just don't know what you need. You don't know what you don't know. So this is great that you are thinking about, especially first-time spouses, because it's very stressful. Yes. Well, yeah. Thank you for sharing that background about Veira Life and what you all are doing. Would like to hear, what motivates you as you build out this company, and it's going into a startup world, a very risky one. You all just found that stability, right? With your kids being older now, what made you want to come out to do something like this?
Yeah, being an early childhood educator for almost 15 years, I'm very passionate about children, families, and I've worked with them, seen all kinds of families still because it was an international school from everywhere. So there was something that really felt when I saw that there is always something that you could do to impact children and young families. And like Anu said, we all started with a consulting and then during that time, we discovered about, if we support the women and the families, then the children, everything will be supported. It's like ecosystem. What keeps us going is all the stories of our users when they come on board and then they're using our services and they share with us. We had one user sharing a photo of the baby with born from the delivery room. And because she had gone through the journey on us with a Veira coach asking a question, that the hospital was not, the birth plan that she wanted, but then she was constantly talking to the Veira coach. So seeing all that motivates that if, we can provide this kind of support, we should be able to do that to a lot of more women as possible in this. We want to create a support system that we didn't have. That motivates us every day.
Rajani, your background in education is also very helpful and comes in at a very important time. I mean, because we've only talked about, the prenatal and a bit of the pregnancy piece, but a lot of it is first time parents of young kids not knowing how to educate. So your master's and your experience with early childhood Montessori education also comes in.
Yes, and as we go on, we will add some services for early parenting and for parents with children with neurodivergent children. So that is something that we are thinking about in the future.
How about your motivations?
So a lot of them are very similar to Rajni. But as she was saying all this, the other thing that came to mind was how when I had a child, my mindset changed. And all of a sudden, I always say this, my stake in the world changed. My stake in the world didn't end with me. It needed to go on because my daughter was going to inherit. So it was important that I spend my time in a more purposeful way. While before that, it was all about me. Was I having fun? Was I traveling? Was I eating the best food? Was I able to buy these lovely clothes? You started to question whether that's all there is to it. And so I knew that I wanted to do something that was more meaningful, that left the world a more equitable place. I think I would have still started a business, but it wouldn't have. So this sort of meaningful foray comes from, I think, being a mom.
And maybe if you could share maybe some unexpected things that you've encountered during this journey of building a company from scratch.
So when we ran our set of interviews, what came out very strongly is when women received support, timely support that answered to their needs in the moment. And when they received that support throughout this period, because it's such a tough, turbulent time, so many changes that come at you in a very short, concentrated period. When you receive support as you need it, you come out of this period feeling fortified, stronger, more confident. You go ahead with your life with the belief now that when you need support, you will receive it. Because in your most vulnerable time, that's what happened. So that's your learned experience in life, right? Which was great, which when as I speak, it is almost intuitive. That's fair. What is heartbreaking is that the reverse is equally true. Women that didn't receive, that felt that they had to go through all of this alone, or felt like they did not receive adequate support, were not seen, were not heard, so on, they came out of it feeling really weakened. It took away from them. It took away years of their joy, of productivity, of what they were able to make of themselves because they really felt weaker. And that for us is the holy grail learning that we go on with. Remembering that that's the impact and that's what you can reverse or avoid if you're able to provide support at the right time.
Right. Yeah. So that is so important. I think back to when I was in the US without family, friends. I mean, we had a community and I had to intentionally reach out, and it was not natural because I didn't know these people so well, but I had to. And I really benefited from people just coming over to help me clean my house or giving me a meal.
Yes.
It was very different from what I am used to, but I definitely grew out of it and have grown so much in empathy because of that. And now I look out more for people who, going through early parenthood by themselves or without family friends around. So I totally resonate with that need for community and support.
Can you also share how is
Veira Life different from going to a Facebook group or going to a WhatsApp group? Because I think in this day and age, most of us have such tools at our disposal.
Yes. So when we thought about Veira Life, I think the one thing that we wanted to, from our own experience, my experience in the age of not having internet and having no access to information other than books, and the OBGYN would just give you information as needed. And that frustrated me a lot. And so I think from there, I think the one thing that on Veira Life, you have our prenatal classes are information which are vetted by OBGYNs. They are easy to understand, and there's enough information for you to make the choices that you want. And one important thing is, and you have a coach who's a maternity coach, and could be a doula or a midwife who's paired with you when you come on the platform. So there's somebody who's certified and experienced and who would advise you based on your personal context and your needs. I think that's very important. It's not a general advice. So I think that's something which is very valuable, and we have seen our users use that a lot. Coming back, because once the user comes to the Veira coach on the platform, asks the basic questions, and I think they get that trust because they're certified, they know what they're saying, and they answer. And we try and match them mostly with the people that come from similar backgrounds, so that it helps them to understand the context. So people coming who have joined us in pregnancy, they come back in breastfeeding with the same coach, and they build that trust. The coaches try and build that trust, and the coaches also encourage the mother to come with the spouse in their calls, so that they are on the same page. So making a birth plan, so that even the dads are involved. So I think in terms of getting information that you need, and somebody who is walking alongside you on this journey is something that I think Veira Life offers. And it's helpful.
No, I think that's it. Just that, I guess one of the other things that's come out strongly for our users is the fact that it is a non-judgmental space. You can decide what you want to do. There is no judgment. Oh, aren't you breastfeeding? Or are you going for this? Are you electing to have so it's all okay. Finally, you can decide what you want for yourself. We are here to support you, make sure you have all the information you need to know that you're taking the best sort of decision for yourself. That's all this is about. So one, it's not judgmental. Second, it is compassionate. All the coaches, it's interesting. For all the coaches that we have, this is their second career. For them, it's a calling. These are all people who had a completely different career and chose to become doulas and midwives and lactation counselors and childbirth educators because they went through their own experience. And so you can see what they bring to every conversation. Therefore, we find that our users are able to connect with them quite easily and know that this is somebody that I can trust. This is someone who's here for me, supporting me in a way that I want to be supported, not in a way that they think they should, So that makes a big difference.
As we close out here, ladies, what is one thing you want listeners to take away from your story?
I think from my life so far as a mom and changing my thing that I would want to say is to be open-minded, take what company has started, when opportunity that comes, try to take that, and also be ready to fail. That's very important. As moms are learning, every day you are learning, and you don't have a handbook for raising children. So you just have to be ready to alongside the child. As a child is born, a mother is, as I said, at 50, I'm an entrepreneur. That I didn't know, so I'm learning.
Love it. I love how you're walking the talk. You are actually practicing what you preach, Rajani. 30s, you're at home, 40s, you're an educator, and now you're an entrepreneur in your 50s. Amazing.
Yeah.
I love what you just said, Rajani, and totally echo that. I think for me, the biggest piece of advice I would give is to not forget yourself. So don't hesitate about prioritizing yourself, your health, wellness, because that would have impact on everyone else around you, on your family, on your children, on your friends, everyone. So I feel like that's the biggest thing that I have picked away from my experience. And I've learned to sort of take better care of myself. I know this is cliche, right? You hear it everywhere, but it makes such a big difference to, how I feel every morning, the sort of energy I can bring, and how when something's going wrong, how I'm able to sort of, look at it and bring to it this energy that, allows me to solve, bring to it a positives or mindset and so on. So yeah, don't forget your own self. Take care of yourself.
Wise words. And with that, I thank you so much, Rajani and Anu, for your time today on Make It Work. I really appreciate everything that you've shared. I've learned so much, and I am so thankful that there are people solving such important challenges that every mom basically goes through. So I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you all again. Thank you for listening to Make It Work, where we uncover inspiring stories of modern working mamas in Asia who have redefined their careers whilst putting family first. Please help others discover the show by leaving a review and rating on wherever you get your podcast. And see you at the next episode of Make It Work.